Hello, so I'm doing something different in this video. I'm going to be talking to the camera. I usually just hold the book up and talk about it, but today I'm going to talk about why I read and how I read as many books as I do. And just to give you an overview, I didn't start reading so many books. I've always relied on comfort books to get me through work and through life. And I didn't really start reading a lot of books until 2018. I'm looking at my notes right now. 2018, I read about 55 books. And then I doubled that by 2019. By 2021, 22, I was reading about 250 to 300 books a year. So, and really the best way to explain why that happened was because I really got addicted to books. And also, audiobooks helped. I discovered audiobooks in about 2017. I had a very long work commute, about 3 hours a day, and I didn't want to waste that time. So I started checking books out from the library on tape and listening to them. And then 2018, I discovered I could check out audiobooks from the library. And also I discovered minimalism, and I thought, why not just get rid of all my books, my physical books, if I'm just going to be listening to audio? And while I was getting rid of my physical books, I realized that I loved reading books. And then of course COVID hit, and I was stuck inside reading my limited library, listening to audiobooks, and not really being able to leave the house to buy books, which I loved browsing books by then. Because the more I was reading, the more I was realizing what the books out there were and which ones I should pick up. So I was just sitting, I think it was like 2 years, I was sitting there just waiting for those stores to open up again. And when they finally did, of course, I went a little crazy, and I just started going maybe several times a month and just buying up huge amounts of books, either books that I had listened to on audiobook because I wanted to read the physical copy, or new books that I found on lists, books that were recommended on YouTube. So I got really into the book buying process. And of course, buying new copies of books that I already had, like because they had a beautiful cover. So I ended up accumulating a huge amount of books. I now have almost 2,000 adult books, adult meaning not kid books. We also have a ton of kid books, which, my kids, some of them, they get read, but my kids are not readers like I am. They don't just plow through books. They're still in the comfort phase. So I accumulated a huge amount of books because thanks to COVID, I got a little crazy when the restrictions were lifted. And then why do I read so many books? Because the more I read, the more topics I'm interested in. I'm constantly finding new things that I'm obsessed with. At first it was education because I was homeschooling the kids, so I wanted books on homeschooling. I got really into politics because I wanted to understand why did Donald Trump win the presidency. So I wanted to read all the books about him. I got really into science. I realized I absolutely loved physics, a subject that I had never taken in college or high school before. This was a kind of a new thing for me. And then classics. I really wanted to push myself and read classics that I had never read. So it was all these different subjects that I discovered. And of course, the more I read, the more books I learn about and the more I want to read. So it kind of spiraled out of that. So now where am I at? I am not relying on audiobooks as much anymore. I've realized that audiobooks are great for some books, but they're really not the best for every book. A lot of times a narrator can really destroy a book, a really good book that should be read. The physical copy should be read. Other times the really technical books are really hard to understand if you're not familiar with the topic when you're trying to listen to it. So I'm kind of changing now. I'm really starting to focus on the physical books, underlining, highlighting them, and truly enjoying the reading process. But I want to thank audiobooks for really getting me to this point, for really hooking me on books, new experiences. I still enjoy audiobooks. I definitely like to use audiobooks for when I'm driving, when I'm cleaning, or when I'm doing something that I can't have a physical book in front of me. So, and my schedule, what is the schedule that I read on? basically I try to read whenever I can. When I wake up, I do my routine, and then I like to listen to a book for a bit, or I like to pick up a physical book. When I'm waiting for my kids, I'm usually reading a physical book. When I'm driving to pick up my kids, I'm listening. So I just make the reading process or the reading experience part of my day-to-day life every day. And the more I read, the happier I am. Or at least when it comes to a good book. There's definitely I've been annoyed at bad books. So when I'm reading, I really get hooked, and I can plow through a whole book in an entire day. So it's really just building up the stamina, because I didn't really used to read that many books. I think 2017 I only read 8. So it's just kind of new for me, and I'm interested to know where it's going to go. Am I going to continue accumulating thousands of books until our house collapses in on itself due to too many books? I hope not. I hope that that doesn't happen. Or maybe my husband will buy me a gigantic library where I can just put all my books. So we'll see what happens. But I think at this point I do want to start rereading a lot of the books that I read over the last 5-6 years, and learn more from them. Well, anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful.